I have not done so recently, but I'm pretty sure if you were to open up a dictionary and look up the phrase creature of habits, it is likely that you would find a copy of my professional functions. And that's the definition. Whether it is a result of my particular combination of ADHD and other deficiencies, there are several things that I must accomplish in the morning in order for me to count myself. Some of these tasks include, among others, getting out of bed, feeding the cat, petting the cat, whether she likes it, taking a shower, and getting dressed for the day. But what is arguably the most important part of my morning routine has been to brew myself the largest cup of coffee that my Keurig will allow me and sit down in front of the TV to watch both the local and national news. Ever since I was in high school, I've been fascinated by and made it an important part of my formation as an adult to take the time to sit down and inform myself what was going on in terms of current events, both locally and around the world. At one point, I would have told you that this was spiritual practice and something that I looked forward to each day. I probably would have even told you that this was a form of self-care for me, although admittedly I would not have the vocabulary to be able to tell this. My love for knowing what was happening in the world even led me to a minor in international studies during my undergrad years. But now, even though I still drink my coffee and watch the news in the morning on occasion, I have found it becoming increasingly harder for myself to watch and pay attention to the news that I found so much interest in before. Perhaps it is now that I'm getting older, but it seems like the news, something that I had so much childlike wonder in learning from, have gotten increasingly darker and more depressing. The majority of news stories these days seem to be comprised of rhetoric and infighting among politicians, various ongoing armed conflicts around the world between countries, an endless array of mass shootings that we have become numb to as a society, and an increasing number of draconian state and federal laws that seem to do nothing more than punish ordinary citizens for trying to live their lives. It's also made harder by the fact that now, as a minister, I'm always seen and regarded as a press secretary divine, the one that was looked to whenever there was a tragedy or something major that's taking place in the world, and assumed to have something to say that makes sense at all. Maybe it is pulling back the curtain to expose the wizard, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being who's trying to reconcile and process my own feelings about what is going on in the world. Never mind trying to guess. We as UUs are people that have historically cared for those in the world who've been the most marginalized and on the fringes of society. But it gets difficult to care when it seems like more and more people, especially those for whom we care the most, are suffering. It can feel completely hopeless, and we begin to wonder what is the point of caring for the world when there seems to be nothing substantial that we can do to change it. I hear the sense of futility in the words of H.P. Rivers from the reading for today. Sometimes there is no reprieve for the pain of the world. Sometimes it is too big and it's too obvious to ignore. Not surprisingly, I discovered that scientists and behavioral psychologists have a name for this kind of phenomenon, dysthymia, which Harvard psychologist Richard Weisberg defines as, quote, the feeling that our lives are constrained and there is not much we can do about it. This, to me, begs the obvious question. How do we overcome something like this? How do we get to a point where it does not all seem to be too much and too overwhelming? The answer comes with both good news and bad news. The good news is that becoming completely apathetic and not caring about anything is not the answer. In fact, far from it. There is almost universal agreement among scientists, something which rarely happens, that what they call the hardest forms of caring, or taking some kind of action to change the world and make it a better place, cannot take place unless we care about other people or other things outside ourselves in the first place. So we are encouraged to care deeply for others. The bad news, like any spiritual or wellness journey that we choose to embark on, we cannot do anything without making an effort to be happy and experience positive emotions, which requires a conscious choice in that part. According to Austin Kushner, director of the Digital Health and Happiness Lab at Georgetown University, quote, themselves and how they affect people. At this point in my sermon research, the cynic and practical theologian in me felt it necessary to scream at my laptop. Yes, we know all of that, but how do we actually do it? As it turns out, I found my answer in the work of Barbara Lee Fredrickson from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Dr. Fredrickson is a social psychologist who has spent the majority of her career conducting research on and studying human emotions. And she is considered one of the foremost experts worldwide in the field of positive psychology. Yes, that is a thing. In 1998, she developed what has come to be known as the broaden and build theory of positive emotions. The idea is that by taking time to develop and cultivate positive emotions and experiences for ourselves, we broaden our awareness and open ourselves up to novel, exploratory thoughts and actions. Over time, this type of behavior develops useful skills and psychological resources needed to develop resilience and increase our sense of being. An increased sense of well-being is likely to create more positive emotions, which allows the cycle to continue on. The development of these positive emotions also helps us develop more energy. Increased energy is a motivating factor to go out and seek more experiences that create positive emotions, which means we are most likely to go out and interact with other people and feel a sense of resolve to begin to imagine ideas or solutions to help change circumstances. And that leads inspired by the positive emotions we have developed ourselves. Fredrickson also has shown through research that developing more positive emotions can actually undo the cardiovascular effects, the impact of negative emotions. Essentially, emotions like anger, fear, and sadness can all elicit responses from our autonomic nervous system, which the development of positive emotions can help reverse. So, all of that to say, how do we actually do this work of cultivating positive emotions? Fredrickson and other positive psychologists have identified meditation as one way to help achieve this, especially loving kindness. Also known as metta meditation, this is a type of Buddhist meditation practice that has become popular in recent years and which is taught by several meditation gurus and meditation. It is usually comprised of visualizing a person silently or repeating several phrases as maybe be happy, or maybe be free from suffering, or maybe be filled with loving kindness, like we heard in the first hymn today. The longer a person cultivates meditation as a spiritual practice, the more in-depth it can become, inviting the participant to think beyond themselves to other people, such as loved ones, or those that are across traditions and with whom the participant may not agree. Fredrickson also writes that people who participate in certain religious practices, like regularly attending church services, can enjoy benefits similar to those from experiencing positive emotions, because they build a deeply held belief that there is a greater meaning in life. And this perception of greater meaning takes emotions. Yet, my humanity reminds me that, as much as I would like, it is not realistic to live one's life wearing only those glasses. Surrounding myself in an echo chamber of positive emotions does not mean that negative emotions no longer cease to exist, or that I will never encounter negative feelings and emotions in the world ever again. I keep returning to the words of H.P. Rivers from the reading today. Sometimes there is no relief from the pain of this world. Sometimes it's too big and too obvious to ignore. What are those times? How do we not get completely derailed by the fact that it feels like there is nothing to do to change anything, make it better? As difficult as it is, the answer is that we can only do as much as we can. And it is important that we try to do that much. We cannot allow ourselves to get bogged down by the fact that we cannot be the saviors to single-handedly solve all the world's problems and single-handedly rid the world of the experience of all negative emotions. As much as we would like to. I take solace in the words of H.P. Rivers from earlier in the reading. I cannot always change the pain of the world, but I can acknowledge it. I can set a candle on my desk and remind myself that there is suffering dancing in the flame. I can send a photo to a friend, a group chat, to the mother of a child in the hospital to say, I cannot lessen your pain, but I can sit with you even from a distance. It is because we care so deeply for people and others in the world that doing what we can, even if it is simply lighting a candle or sending a message to someone saying, I am here with you, I am here for you. It is by embodying those words in our actions that we can make a difference, even if we cannot change everything. I don't know about you, but simply entertaining the idea that I can at least do something to make a difference is just the positive emotion that my soul needed today to keep moving forward. And my hope for you today is that you may find the same. May it ever continue to be so. Let's be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. May you be well.